Welcome once again to Eurovoxx. Thank you guys for tuning in. We have another contender from the American Song Contest, this time representing Indiana. Please welcome UG Skywalkin. Thank you so
What's
much
up,
for being
guys?
here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem. Your song Love in the City was an amazing addition to the contest.
Thank you.
Um, how did the song come about? Was it something that you already had lined up, or was it something you wrote specifically for the show?
No, it's a song I already had lined up. So I played them some music, and it's a song that they thought stood out to them. So I know some contestants like recorded a new record and worked on new music, but I already had it. So we kind of just rolled with it, and that's how it came about. They picked it out of like I think we played like maybe like 6, 7 songs, and that's the one that they were really stuck on. So that's how that kind of came about for me
Mm-hmm.
to form that record.
How did you end up with American Song Contest? How was your journey to it?
I heard about it obviously through Eurovision, right? So once I heard about that, I actually submitted some music,
Mm-hmm.
and they called me back, and we got on a Zoom call. We got on a Zoom call. It was an interview process, and they said they would get back in contact with me and let me know. And probably like maybe like a month later, they were like, "Hey, we want you to represent Indiana in American Song Contest." And I was surprised, because I didn't really know since I hadn't heard from him for a month. I was like, you know what, I haven't heard from him, so maybe the interview went bad. Maybe they decided to go with somebody else, but it was awesome. They just called me surprisingly, and they were like, "Hey, we want you to do it." So,
Right. So you
that,
were how were you familiar with Eurovision?
well, because it popped up on my, like on YouTube when you look up like, just like I don't know how the algorithm works exactly, but I saw a Eurovision contest, and I was like, because I love watching all those kind of shows, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
Voice, whether it's there's a show called Songland, this new where it was like a writing show where people went and wrote songs and then
Mm-hmm.
people performed them. I just like those kind of shows, so I saw that and it caught my eye, and I'm like, what's this? Then I checked it out. Then come to find out, they're about to do it here in the States. And I've
Right.
always wanted to be on a show like that. And, the opportunity came about. So I took a shot at it.
Was it mostly because it was something where you could actually do original music rather than just
Yeah.
go in and cover something?
Yes. It was definitely that. It was definitely that. Original music. And, I was obviously a hip hop act on there. So you don't see very many shows where you go perform hip hop songs, you know what I'm saying? Other
Right.
people's hip hop songs. So it was a good blend, and it had, it was different to me. It was very different. It being original songs and them also adding a hip hop element to it made it super interesting to me because I felt like I could fit in on that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they've done a fairly good job of making the spectrum of music really diverse
Yeah.
on the show. So, but I mean, yeah, it definitely your song stood out. I like the studio version of it's fantastic. I really like the studio
Yeah.
version of it.
And it,
Um,
it, it was a good experience. It was a different experience because even when I did it, when I first did it, I didn't know because we had some sound issues and some things like that. And if I was to do it again, I would have known how it was going to sound and project it because I didn't really get to hear how it was going to sound. You know what I'm
mhm.
saying? With like the microphone and all that. That was the only thing I was like, man, I felt like audio wise, it could have been better, but
Mhm.
overall, I was happy with it.
Did you have input on the staging itself?
I told them yes, yes. They let us have a lot of input. So yes, I did have input on. I told them, I wanted to come out the car. I told them I wanted it to be, like a '90s hip hop party on stage. But
Hmm.
the choreographers, are the one that kind of put together how I'm going to maneuver through everybody and all that. So
Hmm.
the choreography and the dancers, they came up with a majority of just how the vibe was on stage and what I was doing on stage and how I was interacting with the dancers and everything. But I told them I wanted that '90s hip hop party on stage, and that's the kind of feeling I wanted to have with my poofy jacket, like
Right.
like Mace and P Diddy back in the day, like that kind of a feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It somehow seems like the big jackets and the outerwear seems to be a running theme though through the show.
Yeah.
I made a note of that in last week's show. I was like, oh look, somebody else in a long jacket, somebody else in outerwear. Like I'm like, is it very cold in California this time of year? I just don't understand it.
And,
Everyone's in outerwear.
and it was crazy being on the first season. It's like we didn't know what to expect or what we're walking into.
Right.
Now that I'm seeing the show and I'm like, man, there's so much you could have done, or so we just didn't know,
Right.
I had no idea what we were going into, how the stage was going to be of that magnitude. We kind of talked about it, but it's different when you see it. So
Right.
like, I'm sure when everybody saw that first show, it's like, man, you can have fire, you can have flame, you can have all kinds of projections in the back. You can do all this. It was like, man, I wish I'd have known that.
I feel like they're being very restrained with what they're doing so far, because I know that Krista Bjorkman, who is one of the producers for it, he ran Melody Festivalen in Sweden for a number of years. So I know that he knows what can be done with it. And I know he's done an interview saying that, give it a couple of years and they're really going to make it big. So,
I mean, it was as big as the Grammys. That stage, I mean, you watch the Grammys after that, the stage was just as big as the Grammys. They really went all out for the artists. That's one thing, like, you didn't expect it to be that good. You know what I'm saying? And it was that good and more. So they treated us well. They were really good to us. They really did things. I think it was also we were kind of learning together and kind of going through the process together for the first show. We were kind of bouncing things off each other. So, it was definitely good to be a part of the first one. Mm-hmm. It's also now, like I said, that you see it, you're like, oh man, there's so much I could have done more too.
But it's something that you would take another run at?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Now that I know how it was, if I could take another run at it, I would have approached it. Just approached it knowing what I'm doing and just knowing that, the judges and just knowing, kind of catering to what I know the show is and how it is now. I would have just, kind of just been a little bit more calculated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's something that, especially with Eurovision, it's a common practice for artists to take several runs at it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hopefully that's something that ends up becoming a trend in American Song Contest as well. So
that'd be awesome. That opportunity would be amazing. I mean, but it was still amazing anyways, to do that. We're blessed to be able to represent our state and be, the first artist to do something like that and be on a show like that. And then obviously everybody's on the show I'm real good friends with now. We talk we talk all the time, like really good friends now with everybody. So it was a benefit.
Right. Right. I was going to ask you who on the show you really kind of bonded with, because it does seem like everyone really became good friends.
Well, I bonded with Kiana. Mm-hmm. I bonded with Houston. Right. I bonded with Ryan Charles. Mm-hmm. I bonded with Yam House.
Right.
I really bonded with Christian from Puerto Rico. Mm-hmm. Like, these are all people I literally talk to a lot. You know what I'm saying? Right. So and then Kelsey, I'm still real good. On social media we stay in touch, but those are the people I actually talk to on the phone, on FaceTime, or
right.
I'm actually going back to the show this weekend to support Houston and sit with him and do all that. So I'm gonna go back there for the semifinals.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the semifinals. Now, we know that already one of the wild cards is already gone, so Ryan is back in it. Yeah. So we'll wait to see who the next wild card is as well.
Yeah, I wonder. I'm kind of assuming. I'm kind of guessing that it might be. I think it would be probably between Yam House and they might bring Kelsey back, because I don't think they have a girl country singer yet.
Yeah, I don't think they do either.
No, they have that male guy from Tennessee.
Yeah, there's a lot of country in that though. There's a
Yeah,
lot, but I mean, it's going by stream, so I mean, it'll be interesting to see
yeah,
who
yeah.
ends up getting it. I mean, I know there's probably about 5 that I've been streaming on loops. We'll
Yeah.
see. I don't know. My phone's been pretty consistent on streaming about 5 of them
What
on
are you
loop. So
thinking
you
right
know,
now?
so we'll see. Now, when you first came to music, and I will ask you about the name. I know that the UG stands for Uganda. What skywalkin? I need to know.
Skywalking is just a lifestyle. It's just like a movement, it's like a movement of, like, with merch and everybody just wearing the skywalking. It's just like living life above everything, just above the clouds, above all the BS in the world, just living above it all, never looking down, always looking up and looking, moving that way. It's just a
Nice.
lifestyle. It's almost like a lifestyle,
Nice.
that's
Love it.
that's how I would describe that. It's definitely like a lifestyle.
That's awesome. I like
Yeah.
that. I like that. That's cool. And you came from Uganda when you were 8, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And you eventually settled into Indiana.
Yes.
Yeah.
My parents were missionaries, so like
Right.
me and my parents were missionaries, so I was like homeschooled and we traveled everywhere. And then, like I said, my dad got a liver. He caught a liver disease, and here in Indiana, got one of
Right.
the IU Health. They got one of the best transplant hospitals here. So that's how we ended up here, because he had probably I think he had about 2 transplants before he passed. So we just stayed here, and that's how I ended up going to school here, doing music here, and that's how I started.
Right. How did you actually get into music? Because I know you had a football scholarship.
Well, I got to music when I was in Africa. My dad was in a band. My dad was the lead singer.
Okay.
Yeah, so my dad, my uncle, and their friends used to play music all over Africa. That's how my dad met my mom, playing music for her, and that's how they met. So music's always been in my family. My sister's a real good singer. Both my sisters are. My nieces and nephew, my 2 nieces are she's like opera, Disney, like super talented singer. So music's in my family.
Right.
It's always been there, since before I came here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So you're just born into it.
Yeah. I was born into it, for sure.
That's amazing. Well, what kind of things do you have coming up?
I shot the video to Love in My City. I got that coming up. I'm headlining a festival out here called Slamology. It's like a big car show. They got a big main stage and all that. I'm starting to get a lot of, overseas promoters and stuff. So really, I'm gonna put out a project called Kid from Africa, KFA. I'm gonna put a project out, and I'm just gonna try to, expand the brand. You know how music goes. Just try to get the world to know me more and more, and get more opportunities, and keep moving forward. And I own a construction company out here that I've had for like 5 years. So I build homes out here. I remodel homes. I do all that. So building my business and my entrepreneur side as well as I'm doing the music.
Right. Well, that's awesome. Well, we'll definitely keep an eye out for that, and keep an eye out for any tours and everything that you're doing over here as well. And then obviously we'll keep fingers crossed for Wildcard. Still got that one. It's still hanging out there. We'll see what happens with it. So, and I'll be looking out for you, supporting Houston in next week's show as well. So
for sure.
We'll be picking you out on the screen. So
but
so thank you so much for doing this. This has been fun.
No problem.
And everyone, please go to UG's socials and like and subscribe, and same thing, and we'll put all the information somewhere down here. But again, thank you so much for coming to Eurovoxx. Good luck in the rest of the competition. We hope to see you back in it, and we will talk to you again soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks so much.
All right. Bye.